Right. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name's Diane Saran. I'm the Associate Director of IPE, and I'm joined here today by Monet, who works in the Office of Financial Aid. And we're going to present today about funding studying abroad, specifically when you're going and studying abroad through the IPE office, but also a number of other resources if you're studying abroad um, around campus and resources if you're looking to go abroad in general. Just a few quick notes I mentioned, especially for those just joining us. We are recording this session, so you will be able to go back and listen to the recording. And I will be sending the recording and the PowerPoint to any student who signed up for the session. So that will be available to you in case you do have to leave early. You can use the chat if you have a question. We're happy to answer questions as we're going through the presentation. And we'll start now. And if you do have, like I said, questions, you can feel free to ask those. First, let's talk a little bit what's on our agenda today. So we're going to talk through clarifying the cost of studying abroad. We find a lot of students don't necessarily understand, especially if a program's going through the IPE office, what is the cost of going abroad and how do I budget for that? Also, having you take some notes about your own financial situation and then understanding that in the larger context, because with your own financial situation, you might actually not realize how much funding you typically can get for studying abroad. So knowing that, we'll also be, of course, working with our amazing partners in the Office of Financial Aid, because they're going to explain how we partner quite closely to help you through that process of getting aid to study abroad. And then we're going to talk about UM funding options, non-University of Michigan funding options, and then some key takeaways that you can take away with you. And for those that just entered the room, we are recording the session and we will send out the slides after the session to everyone that registered for the session. So what's the cost of studying abroad? So every program is different. That's really important for you to know. There's not any one program that's the same. So what you want to do is when you go into M-Compass and you're looking at a program, you'll see in M-Compass, there's a number of tabs. One of them is called Finances. That's where you want to actually take a look and see the program cost and what that program cost includes. Because in some programs, it might include housing. Other programs, it might not include housing. Some programs, it includes certain meals or specific things. So you want to know exactly what it is you're getting for that program cost. And we're going to talk about the types of programs as well. You'll also notice that there's a budget sheet for every program. So when you click on that budget sheet, here's an example for a summer program. We're also going to show you some examples for winter programs. You will see this is just an example for our program Engineering in Madrid. You will see that it explains this is a type of program that has a program fee. That means you're not charged Michigan tuition and fees for this particular summer program. You are charged a flat fee, and that includes certain things. So for this program, it includes housing and the cost of 2 courses. So you are billed, though, through the University of Michigan's billing system, which allows us to assist you with certain types of things, like applying directly any kind of funding that you'd receive through the university directly to that bill. But this budget sheet also gives you information on, for example, how much transportation costs might be, or, for example, your personal finances. Now, that's very subjective to how much you typically spend. And we try to remind you that if you're going to eat at 5-star hotel restaurants every night, that's probably going to be a much higher fee or a higher budget item than what we're listing here. So, or if you're going to travel every weekend to another European city, your personal expenses are likely going to be much higher than what we're budgeting on this sheet. So we give you some parameters as to what it is we're explaining what an average personal expense might include. Many of you in this room that are here today might have applied for and are studying abroad for a full semester. There are two types of full semester programs. One is an exchange program where you pay your typical University of Michigan tuition and fees, and then you pay any of your own expenses abroad, like housing, and things like that. There's an example of a budget sheet for that type of program. And you should be able to see, I think you should still see this budget sheet. If not, you can link to that after the presentation, but it explains the budgetary items that you will need to look at, minus what you typically would budget for your semester tuition and fees. This program is one that does not include housing, so then the cost is just an estimate for housing. And so that's something to remember. Also, for many of our semester programs, there is a cost to get a visa. So for many countries, just like international students coming to the US, you might have to pay to get a visa. And so that's going to be different, and you might have to budget for that. There are many of our programs that are actually called programs with a program fee. This is actually quite beneficial for our out-of-state students because in many cases, as an out-of-state student, you might pay a lot lower to go abroad for a full semester than you would pay out-of-state tuition. So here's an example of another budget sheet where you would be going and studying abroad, and that program fee, it tells you that it includes all of your credits plus your housing, plus some excursions. So that's quite nice for many students because they realize they're getting all of that for one cost, and they have to budget for other things like their flight abroad, or other expenses like meals and personal costs. As I mentioned, this program has housing and excursions included, and it also does have a visa fee that's included within this. Engineering students that go abroad through IPE are eligible for what's called the College of Engineering Go Global Fund. This is for any student who's confirmed on one of IPE's programs. The individual amounts based on students' financial need. So that's established by comparing the overall cost of the program with any financial aid awards that are already given to each individual student. And then if there's a gap, we try to fill that in for the student using this award. The good news is there's no deadline for this, so you're automatically considered for this. And students are typically awarded a few weeks prior to going abroad. What application you actually can apply for is our early disbursement of our Go Global Fund. So if you need funding to, let's say, apply for a visa or buy your flight or anything you need to do before you study abroad, you can apply to get access to that funding or any kind of funding that you would typically receive prior to the disbursement of that funding. And Monet is going to talk a little bit about when financial aid and then institutional aid would be dispersed for studying abroad. But what we can do is once it's been established that you've been accepted and you're going to go on a program, then you could actually get funding for things you need to do before you've even traveled abroad. The deadline to apply for any of the early disbursement is the deadline for your program application. So you can see the deadlines on the slide. And if you want to take a look at that, you can click into that link once you get the PowerPoint slides. IPE also offers a paid blogger position. These are positions where students blog about their programs. If you haven't had a chance to look at our student blogs, I highly suggest you do that. They're located within every single M-Compass page of our students in the application. It's also located just on our website under student experiences. And this gives you a really amazing idea of what our students experience abroad. So we owe a lot to our bloggers because I think it really does help students uh, understand the program. And if students are looking to do an internship abroad, whether they're actually not doing any credits, but they're working abroad, we do offer an international internship scholarship. And the awards are between $1,000 and $3,000. And the scholarships open typically in March, and typically you would apply before May when students are actually confirmed in an internship. Other College of Engineering options. So the Office of Student Affairs has a first generation undergraduate experiential learning fund. So you can take a look at that if you are a first generation student. OSA has scholarships available. And so that's another opportunity for you to look at funding, as well as individual student funding through the Office of Student Affairs. So you can click on any of those links. You can also find those on our funding page. So you can feel free, I'll put that in the chat. You can find any of these links anytime on our funding page. I also encourage students to actually talk with their home department. So if you are already declared in the College of Engineering, please go to your department and find out if there's any discretional funding available. I'm just going to mention a few opportunities that have a deadline coming up soon. So there is something called the Go Blue, Go Abroad Workshop and Scholarship. If you are a first year undergrad student and you've not been accepted to study abroad yet, you can attend 3 workshops and complete 2 short assignments, and you could receive $1,000 for studying abroad in the future. We also, if you're a first gen student, you are eligible for a very, what I think is a fantastic award of $3,000 for winter or summer programs. The deadline is October 6th. So if you're interested in that, please apply for that. And then if you have not already applied to study abroad for winter and you're thinking about going abroad in summer, there is a passport grant through the provost office, and the deadline to apply is October 15th. Are you a Pell Grant awardee? There are up to $5,000 in scholarship for students who are U.S. citizen, receive a federal Pell Grant, and are studying at a 4-year university like ours. So take a look at looking at that Gilman Scholarship, as well as the STEM Supplemental Award for students who are doing any type of internship program abroad. And so those deadlines vary depending on when you plan to go abroad. So I would encourage you to look at them early to make sure you apply for them within the deadline. I also encourage you to look through M-Compass. That means this is for all of the University of Michigan. And there might be a number of opportunities where you're going abroad that there might be funding available. Also, on our website, as I put the link to our funding page, we have numerous external funding options listed there. So we suggest that you take a look at what is out there. You should also check if you're doing a program with one of our partners, such as CEA Kappa. If you're going abroad in Spain this winter semester, they might have some additional funding. So check out their website. We also suggest that you look at a couple of these other various sites that we've linked in here. This one QR code will take you to a very detailed spreadsheet. And if I think you can see it if I open it. It's very hard to read like on your computer screen, but you can take a look to see if where you're going abroad, if any of these specific grants or scholarships would apply to you and where you're going. And definitely take a look, at scholarships or funding within your own hometown or country, and within your department, as I mentioned. You can always take a look at some of the other offices on campus that offer funding. For example, the Office of National Scholarships and Fellowships. The International Center also might offer scholarships. Of course, Monet is going to talk about the Office of Financial Aid very soon. And then the International Institutes on Fellowships and Grants. They offer help with a number of national scholarships listed there. But if you are thinking about doing something in the future, like in critical languages, or you're looking to go abroad for extensive period of time and do a fellowship, they're the office to look into. I'm going to pass it over to Monet, who's going to talk about financial aid and studying abroad and institutional aid.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Diane. Like Diane said, I'm Monet. I'm over in the Office of Financial Aid. I oversee our study abroad financial aid team within the just the general financial aid office. So here to talk to you about the aid that you could be eligible for from our office for your study abroad trip. So first and foremost, like Diane said, you want to make sure that like as you're considering studying abroad, that like you have a good sense of your finances, what kind of aid that you can expect, like kind of your family's finances and kind of any kind of commitment there. Um, but if you I guess from our office, the biggest thing is that if you apply for financial aid now, like as a student on campus, it's very likely and possible that some of that aid can be applied to your study abroad program. So the biggest thing is that you want to make sure that you have your aid applications in. So your FAFSA, if you're a continuing student, if this is your entering year, you want to make sure that you did your CSS profile and your FAFSA, just to make sure that you are eligible for aid from our office. Um, like I said, many of the kind of the Office of Financial Aid awards that you have as your aid package, a lot of them can be used towards your study abroad programs. And then the best thing to do, and I'll say this many times today, but the best thing that you can do is come talk to us. If you have any questions or you want to get an aid estimate to understand how your like regular financial aid will apply for your study abroad program. We're very available for that. All right, next slide, please. So, all right, this is like the great tool that you can use to see to get an aid estimate from us. We offer these estimate worksheets that you can fill out kind of your top portion and then you send it back to us and we fill out kind of the estimated OFA funding section. We ask that you use, like Diane kind of showed you the program like cost sheet. And so we ask that you like use that cost sheet to fill out the like estimated core expenses, estimated variable expenses. You should be able to find all of those things on the cost sheet. And then you submit this to us. And then we will be able to like take a look and see what kind of aid you'd be eligible for from our office. It's a pretty quick turnaround. We like if you send it to us, yeah, thanks. It's like really like we'll get it back to you within like 1 to 2 business days. So it's pretty quick. All right, next slide, please. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's say, okay, like so you have your financial aid. You've committed to a program, like you're gonna go abroad with IPE. So how do you get that financial aid? How does that work? So what you're gonna do once you commit, so we actually partner with IPE where we have this study abroad financial aid request form. And IPE is so good at kind of giving you the form on our behalf. We'll kind of identify if you file a FAFSA, we're going to have you complete one of these forms. Um, and So once we get that form, so IPE is going to collect the form from you. They're going to send the forms all in one big batch to us. And then what we do is we go ahead and put together an aid package for you for your study abroad program based on kind of like just your aid eligibility. Like aid's going to look different from student to student because it truly is like based on your specific FAFSA, your specific CSS profile. So we're going to be putting together your aid package. Um, you'll, so if you are going on a winter term program, right? Like you're going to go winter 26, um, we'll kind of be like starting this process in the next month or so. So that way, sometime in November, you'll have your like finalized aid package for the winter term. And for spring and summer, we'll be doing this kind of more like March, maybe late February, March, that you'll have your aid package for the spring or summer. Um, and so you'll have the aid package, you'll know the aid that you're getting, but the biggest thing is about when our aid disperses. Um, all of your like OFA aid can only disperse the kind of the earliest it can disperse is 10 days before the start of the U of M term that you're enrolled in for your study abroad program. So if you are studying abroad in the winter term, what that means is that your aid can't disperse until the very end of December. Like I think it disperses like December 30th. And then refunds from the disbursement would go out kind of like early January, like maybe January 5th. You might see that money in your bank account or applied to your account or whatever. Um, so it's just that's kind of like the nature of our funding. And that's where like Diane was talking about like the early disbursement. That's not your financial like Office of Financial Aid money that can be dispersed early. Our money can't. But if you have like College of Engineering money or something like that, that's where there's, like where you can apply for that early disbursement. Um, what happens with your financial aid is it first like pays towards any charges you have on your account in the winter term. So if you have like if your program fee is charged to your student account, it's going to pay that. And then anything that you have left over after that, bill is covered, then that gets refunded to you. And then you can use it for like whatever other expenses you have, like buy your airplane ticket if you haven't already, or like just any like your travel or your personal expenses or whatever while you're abroad. We always recommend like direct deposit that you set that up so that way that money goes straight to your bank account. Um, all right. OFA has some study abroad scholarships that we offer. And really all students that are studying abroad with a U of M program, who have a FAFSA on file with us, you're going to be considered for that study abroad scholarships, like those study abroad scholarships that we have. It's a combination of like merit and need that we're looking at, but you don't need to fill out an application. It's just something that will automatically consider you for, and if you receive it, you'll get notified. We don't send anything out if you don't get it, however. Okay, couple helpful things. Make sure you have direct deposit set up. That way that refund that you get doesn't get sent to like your, dorm here or your address, your permanent address. Like you want it to go straight to your bank account. So set up direct deposit. Important things for spring and summer is just thinking about your credit load. Your aid is tied to your credits that you're taking. And so in the spring and summer, kind of the bare minimum of credits that you need to take in order to be eligible for aid is 6 credits. Most study abroad programs kind of fulfill that, but you just be aware of that. Couple things So College of Engineering, you talk about these beyond U of M programs that are offered, which are great. That's where you're like studying abroad independently. It's not actually like you're not going to be enrolled at U of M in that term abroad if you do one of those beyond U of M programs. And in that case, you're not eligible for any like U of M specific funding. It's possible that we can help you access your federal funding. So if you like receive a Pell Grant or you have a federal loan, like we can process that if you have a consortium agreement in place. So if you're considering a Beyond U of M program and you have aid, uh, reach out to our office to talk about about that process. And then really that's the biggest thing is that we are here to help you. We have kind of a small team within the Office of Financial Aid at Large that like we work specifically with study abroad financial aid. And so if you have any questions, you can email us at that email address, that finaid.abroad@umich.edu. We offer like in-person advising sessions every Thursday afternoon. You can come by our office in the Student Activities Building on Central Campus, kind of near the Cube. So every Thursday afternoon, you can drop in. Or we also offer remote like Zoom advising appointments every Wednesday. So like you can scan that QR code or you can email us to kind of like set that up. But if you want to talk with a study abroad financial aid advisor. But really, like, we're here for you. And the best part about this, all of this, is that like funding is available. Like you can get financial aid. Like there are some students that pay nothing to go study abroad, that they have all of their expenses covered, their airfare, everything because of the financial aid that they're receiving from our office and with the College of Engineering support. So it's like it's possible. So definitely contact us. Like I said, we're here for you.
We're so
Yeah.
grateful. We're super grateful that that is a
Oh.
possibility. Oh, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh,
Keep
oh, good. I'm
going.
like, oh, I guess there's more.
Yeah, don't forget these.
Couple like so all of these, right? Are these your key takeaways, Diane? But definitely just get an estimate. Estimate's really helpful if you are an out-of-state student paying a program fee for your study abroad program rather than U of M tuition. That's where like a estimate's really helpful because your aid's going to look different. Um, so yeah, I don't know. But all of these are really important key takeaways, Diane.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and please ask questions to us, to her, to our IPE advisors. We're here to like help you understand this process. And then just a reminder, we have a session called How to Book a Flight on a Budget. And so we included that in this presentation, especially for many of you who are looking to book flights for the winter term, maybe not right away, but soon. We will be offering this session. Please watch our IPE emails. We'll be sending it out to anyone who's confirmed to go abroad in winter. Our one of our staff members, Joshua, is really good at finding flights on a budget. So he spent a lot of time making this so that all of you could find the best kind of flights possible. Then just a couple of super quick notes, and then I know it's 1 o'clock, but if you have a couple of extra seconds, we can answer some questions. We will have our engineering study abroad fair this year, November 4th, from 11 to 2 in Pier Park Commons. So come and talk with us. We also have our peer advisors who went abroad 1 to 4 Monday through Friday in our office. And we have a passport day. This is open to any student who does not yet have or who either has an expired passport or who needs to apply for a passport. It's going to be on October 23rd. We will be having, we will be sending it out to all of the College of Engineering to register for an appointment around October 13th. So if you If you or a friend still needs a passport, we're here to help you with that. And then last, for summer, if anyone's here who's interested in going abroad in summer, our applications will open November 3rd, and the early priority deadline is December 9th, and our final deadline is February 5th. I can't believe I'm talking about December and February. It still feels like summer to me, but we are there. Amplify your resume. So that's what we're talking about here, and study abroad. So any questions, let us know. Feel free to open to questions. Either you can pop it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. If you don't have a question, you can feel free to depart the session if you have somewhere else to go. As a general reminder, I'll be sending the slides and the recordings out to everyone. I'm going to stop the recording now, and we will take questions.